Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Armando Torres here again, aka Mondo the Watch Guy on Instagram. And Happy New Year. At the time of recording this video, it is January 1st. I hope this video is finding everyone well and in good spirits. I hope you guys had an awesome holiday with your friends and family. And hopefully this year is a lot better for us than last year. Obviously, last year had its ups and its downs and its downs and its downs. So hopefully this year is a lot kinder and a lot better for all of us. Now, before moving on, I also want to address the mustache. Real quick story about the mustache. Basically, I wanted to enter the new year clean shaven, and so I started shaving all of my facial hair. I wanted it all gone, and then sort of as a goof, I took a picture of myself with the mustache and the goatee, and I sent that to a couple of my friends and family and my girlfriend, and it was a joke. It was literally like, isn't this hilarious? And then my girlfriend actually told me, shave the goatee, let me see you with a mustache. And I was like, okay. So I shaved the goatee, and then I saw myself in the mirror. I was like, that's a decent mustache. As far as mustaches go, you know, some guys can't really grow facial hair. So I saw the mustache and I was like, that's not a bad mustache. So I sent that to my girlfriend and the same friends and family that I sent the first picture to. And I actually got positive feedback. A couple of, you look kind of weird. And I was like, I know, it's a mustache. I look a little weird. But then I actually got enough positive feedback to be like, you know what? It's 2021. I think I'm going to leave it. My girlfriend liked how it looked. And my sister was like, it's 2021. You might as well just leave it. You know, like that's an excuse to do anything. It's 2021. Fuck it. So basically the mustache is here to stay for a little while. I'm going through a phase. I'm going through my Sgt. Pepper phase right now. I feel like Paul McCartney, okay? That's pretty much all this is. But anyways, guys, we're not here to talk about my facial hair. We're here to talk about watches. And indeed, this is going to be part one of my future prospects. Part one is going to include my phase one set of watches, which are watches that are under $1,000. Now, obviously, under $1,000, that's a lot of room to play with. I'm not going to be including any Watch Gang watches or AliExpress watches. Watch Gang is something that I'm taking on a case-by-case basis now, as you might already know from my previous Watch Gang unboxing Black Tier subscription that I got. Basically, it's a one strike and you're out type of situation where if I don't like the watch that I get, that's it. I'm calling Watch Gang quits because $100 every 3 months, you know, that could be better. That could be spent a lot better. So if I like a Watch Gang watch, I will keep going with Watch Gang. When I get to one that I don't like, then I will stop with Watch Gang. Same thing with AliExpress. AliExpress, I took advantage of the AliExpress sale, the 11/11 sale. Indeed, I got 4 watches that I'm super excited to unbox for you guys. So AliExpress, I'm not really going to partake in anymore. At this point in time, I am more focused on going towards the luxury end of the watch collecting game, the spectrum of watch collecting. So I'm going to start heading more in that direction. I'm going to try to move away as much as I can from like AliExpress, Watch Gang, which is why I'm setting up those parameters for myself. And hence part 2. So part 2 is going to be my top 5 watches over $1,000. So that should be a lot of fun as well. But today we're going to be going through my phase 1 set of watches. That's phase 1, under $1,000, more affordable, but still good quality and good enough to be on my list. What is the list? My mom hates the list. It's always growing. It's always evolving. Sure, there are certain watch collectors out there who, you know, get a finite amount of watches and then say, you know what, that's it. Certainly I look to my uncle as an example. He has a lot of really cool high-end watches. He has a Tag Heuer, I think a couple of Tag Heuers. He has an Omega Seamaster. He has a Mont Blanc, I believe. And so he has a lot of high-end watches, but he recently told me, like, I'm no longer interested in collecting watches. I'm in a phase in my life where I want to focus on other things. And I was like, you know what, fair enough. But I think a lot of people, especially the people I follow and who follow me, are interested in the next piece. And that's kind of a really fun thing with watch collecting, is seeing what the next piece is going to be in your collection. So that's what this list is. It's supposed to help me focus and zero in on the watches that I've researched and said, yes, I want to pull the trigger on these watches because I've researched them enough to say I really, really want these pieces. And that's what this list is. And phase 1 is my more affordable end, and phase 2 is the higher end, so I will split those up into 2 parts. So now let's get into phase 1 of my list. Let me know how this compares to your list as well, and because everyone has one, because everyone has a list. You may call it something else, you may call it something different, but everyone has a list of like, these are the next 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 watches that I want. So let me know how it compares to yours, if there are any overlapping watches, if there are any watches of mine that coincide with watches that you want. Let me know in the comment section down below. Really quickly also, I want to show you guys what I'm rocking on wrist. It is the Main Hudson Mark II. The Mark II is the 42mm version of this watch, the Main Hudson, and it's actually the last Main Hudson that was ever produced, or at least the last one that was ever sold. When I purchased this watch, there was only one available in stock, and I pulled the trigger on it, and I'm really happy to own a piece of this company's heritage. I won't get too much into the specs or anything like that. I have a full video unboxing of this watch if you want to check it out in the description down below, or I'll probably leave an annotation as well. But really solid watch, really aesthetically pleasing. It utilizes some of my favorite colors, and I think that the aesthetic is a big reason to go for a watch like this. And now guys, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my top 5 phase 1 watches under $1,000 that I am most interested in right now. Starting with number 1, it is the Citizen Automatic watch. I believe the serial number is the NB1041-84E. I memorized that because I've looked it up so many times, and really the only place I can find this watch is on eBay, because I think it's a Japan exclusive, which is the only reason why I haven't pulled the trigger on this watch. I've never really purchased a watch on eBay, so actually I think I only purchased one watch on eBay. It was my Citizen Titanium watch with the blue dial, and it was a good transaction, but that one was located here in the States, so traveling from Japan to here, you know, it just gives me a little bit of reason for hesitance, especially because it's like $500 or something like that. So another reason why I haven't purchased this watch is because the Citizen store that I bought my Frederic Constant flyback chronograph at let me know that they actually do get that watch from time to time. It's not very common, but they might get it, and they actually sell it for a lot cheaper than on eBay, so I could get it for cheaper and immediately, like face to face and like in person, instead of waiting for it to ship from Japan for twice as much money. So that's another reason I haven't purchased this watch, is because I'm waiting to see if the Citizen store gets one of these watches, and if they do, then I'll head over and I will immediately purchase it from them. So that's the only reason why I haven't purchased it right now, but it is the watch that I am most interested in. I think for the money, it definitely stacks up. And I have a bunch of Citizen watches. I have more Citizen watches than any other watch in my collection, any other watch brand. And I think it compares to the likes of the Seiko Sarb 033 and even the Seiko Presage Titanium. That is a really nice watch, and I think it compares up to that. I think it even supersedes it, because it's a Miyota 9011 movement, I believe. It's a Citizen 9011 movement, sapphire crystal, great dimensions, great specifications, milled clasp, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. It's a watch that's a little bit rare. You know, Citizen are really well known for making eco drive watches, and this watch is an automatic watch with, you know, sapphire crystal, which is also a little bit rare for Citizen, machined clasp, which is also a little bit rare for Citizen, and I think at the price point, you get a lot of bang for your buck. If you want to check out this watch a little bit more, Wizard Watch has a really cool video on that watch. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below. Big shout out to him for allowing me to use the footage of that watch in this video. And it's a really cool watch, It's on my list, and it's the watch that I'm most interested in purchasing this year. Now guys, moving on to watch number 2, and watch number 2 is the Mito Ocean Star, and that watch is absolutely amazing. I'm a really big fan of how it looks. I'm a really big fan of the specs and features on that. Sapphire crystal, Powermatic 80 movement with an 80-hour power reserve, and an on-the-fly adjustment clasp. I think that clasp is the biggest reason why I want to get this watch. I've been more into bracelets and clasps lately, so I want something that has on-the-fly adjustments, which we will get into in the future. I will have a video pretty soon dedicated to straps and bracelets only. I'm definitely looking more into on-the-fly adjustments for clasps, and this watch has that, and I'm a big fan of how it looks as well. It looks absolutely amazing. I actually want this watch in 2 different variants. So I don't know if you guys ever experienced this where you really like one certain watch and you want to get it in like multiple colorways. That's the case with me in this watch. A good example of that would be the Calvin Klein, where I have it in the black dial version as well as in the rose gold white dial version. If I really like a watch, I will usually look for like multiple colorways, and that's the case with this watch. So I really am a big fan of the black dial black bezel version. Pretty much all of my dive watches are black dial black bezel. I don't really go for white divers or green divers or blue divers. I pretty much always get the black dial version, and so I'm a big fan of the black dial version of the Mito Ocean Star, as well as, surprise surprise, the rose gold Mito Ocean Star with the Oyster Flex style rubber strap and the sort of Yachtmaster vibes that it gives off. Big fan of how that looks as well, so I would be very interested in picking it up in both of those variants, so I can have like a rubber strap version and also a braceleted version. And like I said, I've been super into rose gold lately, so both of those watches I'm a big fan of. Both of them have the on the fly adjustments of I believe 5 millimeters. I believe there's 5 positions you can adjust it in, and it's 1 millimeter each, so 5 millimeters of space and, you know, adjustment. And just a really stellar watch. The only reason I haven't purchased this watch is because it is 42.5 millimeters, I believe, so it is fairly bigger, and it's 50 millimeters lug to lug. Now obviously I can wear 50 millimeter watches, but as I mentioned when I first unboxed this watch, the Maine Hudson, 50 millimeters is really the biggest I can go with my watches. 50 millimeters is like the extent. Any bigger and I think it would be pushing it for my wrist size. I can wear 50 millimeter lug to lug watches, but do I want to? That's the question. It is 11 millimeters thick though, so it's a relatively thin watch, so I think I could get away with it, but I would want to see it in person and try it on wrist before pulling the trigger and buying it online or something. But really solid watch, want it in 2 variants, so we'll see what the year says. Moving on to watch number 3. Watch number 3 is a watch that I really can't find anywhere. It's a watch that's a little rare in terms of its availability, and that watch is the Glycine Combat 6 Classic in 36 millimeters, and that watch I really can't find anywhere. I can find the 43 millimeter version it's pretty readily available, but I'm not interested in the 43 millimeter version, nor the 40 millimeter open heart version or the 40 millimeter moon phase version. I just want the classic 36 millimeter Glycine Combat 6, and I can't really find it anywhere. I think I found it in one spot for like over $1,000, so no thanks. I found it pre-owned at the Invicta Store's official website for like under $300, like 2 something, but all sales are final and they wouldn't send me pictures of it, so I was like, no thanks, pass. Because if they sent me a picture of it and it looked good in the pictures, I would have purchased it and been fine with all sales final. Or if they didn't want to send me pictures of it, just let me return it if I don't like it, because yes, it may be certified by you, but what if I don't like it? If there's one thing or one scratch or one this or that I really don't like, then I'm stuck with it and I have to flip it or live with it or whatever. And I just figured it wasn't worth the risk. So the availability of this watch is what makes me think that this might be one of the watches that I don't end up getting, is because I really can't find it anywhere. Now luckily Glycine is actually releasing a Combat Sub 36 millimeter. So if I can't pick up the Glycine Combat 6 Classic, then I'll probably end up picking up the Glycine Combat Sub in 36 millimeter when that drops. Moving on to watch number 4, guys. And watch number 4, I also might not be able to pick this watch up because it is a limited edition watch. This particular brand, a lot of people aren't too big on because their pieces are quite quirky. They're a little bit unique. And so I feel like a lot of people don't look at this brand, but as far as this watch is concerned, I think they knocked it out of the park, and that's the Raymond Weil limited edition Beatles watch. What more do I need to say? It's a Swiss-made automatic watch, limited edition, and I love the Beatles, so really checks a lot of boxes for me. If I were to get this watch, I probably wouldn't even wear it all that much because I really think it's a special piece that I kind of just want in my collection. It's one of those watches. I would wear it occasionally, but I think that it's just the owning it that I'm a big fan of, is the packaging and the fact that it's the Beatles. I referenced the Beatles earlier with the Sgt. Pepper mustache. You know, I'm going through my Sgt. Pepper phase right now, so yeah, I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and I'm a big fan of that watch as well. And moving on to the fifth and final watch, guys, and this watch is coming from a brand that I kind of like to hate on, in the sense that I personally am not a big fan of this particular brand, and I know some people's heads are going to explode when I say this, but if you guys have watched the channel long enough, you guys will know that every time I'm about to purchase a watch from this particular brand, I can't justify pulling the trigger on one because of the materials used versus the price. And I know that these watches are supposed to have a lot of horological history and that they're supposed to be, you know, coveted classics, but I just am not that big on Seiko, guys. I am not a huge Seiko fanboy. However, they did release one Seiko that I saw and I said, you know what, this is different, and I feel like a lot of people are going to say, well, this isn't classic Seiko, or this isn't, you know, the watch that Seiko should be making, but it's got my attention, and it's the first Seiko that I've legitimately been like, you know what, it's only 100 meters of water resistance. I believe it does have a screw down crown, but no 200 meters of water resistance. Still using Hardlex crystal. The bezel still might not align fully with the 12 o'clock indices, yet the color and the overall styling and the day-date complication makes up for it, in my opinion. And that watch is the Seiko 5 Rose Gold. Really great looking watch. It sort of comes out of left field as far as Seiko and their design choices. I feel like they're trying to do something different, and I completely respect it. And I say, you know what? There's a Seiko that I would be very interested in, because at least if you're not getting, you know, 200 meters of water resistance, yes, you're getting hacking and hand winding now at least, which is a big reason why I never understood the hype behind the Seiko SKS 007 or 013 or 009, is because the movement sucks. Like, there's no other way to put it. The movement behind the Seiko SKS 007, 009, 013, like non-hacking, non-hand winding, like how are you gonna set the time? Like it doesn't make sense. So I never really understood the hype behind the Seiko SKS 007 or 009 or 013. And it's Hardlex crystal, which, like, okay, if you're gonna actually use it to dive, then fine, whatever. But it just wasn't there. The value just wasn't there for me in those watches, and they've skyrocketed in price since they got discontinued. And the thing that replaced them, at least it hacks, at least it hand winds, but now you get 100 meters less of water resistance. Still Hardlex crystal, still a press clasp. Like, there were no upgrades other than arguably the movement and the aesthetics. It's obviously a really nice looking watch for a lot of people, but you know, it's just very And this is the first watch that I've ever seen and was like, this is kind of nice. I can see this watch on the wrist of like a rapper or a music hip hop artist, which is really cool. I think that's definitely really different. It's a really nice piece, and I would be very interested in picking up one of these guys. Let me know what you guys think. And there you have it, guys. My future prospects part 1, my phase 1 set of watches on my list, under $1,000. What did you guys think about it? I know this video ran a little bit long, so if you are still watching, I highly appreciate you. Comment in the comment section down below what you guys think about my list. How does it compare to your list? Are there any overlaps? Are there any of my watches that coincide with the watches on your list? Let me know. Make sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Mondo the Watch Guy. And until next time, I will see you later.